Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We will be covering some of the new features included with Boulevard 2021 software, as well as some existing features that will help you organize, advertise, and connect not only with your customers, but other contacts that you have in Boulevard to help you with your business. Now, the first topic that we're going to go over is ensuring that your Boulevard software is still linked with your Main Street account. And the reason why this is important is so that your software stays current with any available software releases or product updates available to you. And you can access it from the main toolbar by going to the business group, clicking Preferences, and then My Account, or you can access it by going to the Edit menu, choose Preferences, then the Online Sync tab to go to the My Account area here. You just want to ensure that Check for Available Software Releases is selected, then click Verify. If your information pops up in the Verify results box, then you know that your account is linked to your software program. If it's not, you'll just want to make sure that you enter the correct email address and password that we have on your account for you. And if you're not sure what that is, you can go to our website and either reset your password or contact us if you need further assistance with that. Now, the next area that we'll be going to cover is under the Invoice tab of Preferences. And there are a couple of different things to note specifically on this Invoice tab, and one was introduced in a previous version, and that is the ability to automatically apply a discount during a contact's birthday month. So if you always give a special discount during someone's birthday month when they purchase with you, you can have Boulevard automatically apply that discount when they are invoiced during their birthday month. The other two sections here are covering the follow-up. Now, if you would like to ensure that you are following up with contacts when you invoice them for either samples or after you've invoiced them, you can set how many days after you've added those items to the invoice, whether it's a sample, or when you've created an invoice, how often you want to follow up with them. Now, you can also change that either in their profile specifically if you want to contact them sooner than what you've set in Preferences, or farther out in your calendar. The next section is actually customizing your invoice. One of the new features in Boulevard 2021 is allowing you the ability to store multiple standard notes for your invoices. And you can access that after I clicked on that Customize button by clicking on the Note tab. Now you can choose the standard note, and this is what will default on your invoice, but you can also create 2 additional notes. Now when you first open this up, yours will say Standard, Note 2, and Note 3. If you'd like to change the label of what each note is called, you can do that in the Edit List box and change Note 2 and Note 3. The standard note, that label remains the same. Now, going back to the Settings tab, this is where I can add additional information to my printed invoice or PDF invoices. I can choose a photo that's going to appear on the left-hand side of the invoice information, my contact information. I have additional options here that I can set, whether I want the delivery address bolded or small, how many items are on the invoice can be displayed, as well as footer images on the left and right, and banner images here. And you can also choose to change the font and color information of the column header colors. You can, once you've set all of this, you can also preview it by clicking the Preview button as well. Now, you may have noticed some of these images here, and those images are actually created by us, and we have them posted out on our Support Center website, and they're free to download and use, and you can share them as well. They're great for jazzing up your invoices, but you can also use them for your email marketing, and however you would like to use them, they're free to use. You can access them. Let me close Preferences by going to your Help menu and choosing Help. That's going to launch our Support Center website. And then you'll see the image and asset library. Once I click on that, I have access to all these different images and PDFs, and the PDFs I can completely customize. For example, I have this flyer that is a fall flyer, and all of this information I can go in after I've downloaded it and saved it to my computer. I can change any of the text here. I've added a image. I can click to change any of the images, or I can clear the image if I don't want to display an image. All of this information can be customized, and then when I'm finished, I would just save it and print it. I can then email it to my customers and utilize it for whatever need I have at the time. And again, all of these can be accessed from our Support Center website. The next area that we will be covering is archiving versus deleting products from your product list. And you can access your product list by clicking on the Inventory button from the main toolbar, or you can also access it by going to the Product menu and choosing Product List. Now you'll notice my categories are collapsed. I personally like them collapsed just so I can see all of my categories, but you can choose to expand them or collapse them here. Now archiving, what that does is it allows you to put products that you don't have in stock and that are discontinued into the archived folder, which is located at the bottom of your product list. And by doing that, those items that you put in that category will no longer appear when you create a search on invoices or when you create product orders. Any of that, they will not be included, and so it makes it easier to find the products that you are looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and, as an example, let's go into the last chance closeout category, and I'm just going to pick and choose a few items that I no longer have in stock. And I can select them and then choose Archive, and Boulevard's going to ask if you are sure that you want to archive them. No worries if you decide that you don't want to archive them later on. You can go ahead and move them out of the archived folder at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the archive, and if I decide, you know what, I actually do need to have access to that product, I can go ahead and move it. Now, the other reason why it's great to archive products that you don't have in stock is when you're utilizing the product sales events. Now, the product sales events, those are events that you set up to have a specific date range, and it can have a beginning and ending date, or just a start date or beginning date and leave it open-ended like I have with this last chance discontinued. And what it does is when you add products to the sales event, after you've done this, you can invoice those items and they will automatically be given the specific discount that you have set for those items. Now, when the sales event has expired, those items will no longer be given that discount when you invoice them. So it's a great way to keep track of what your specific sales are that you're promoting, and also a great way to push some of those discontinued items that you want to have gotten rid of before year end when counting your inventory. Now, one of the new enhancements to Boulevard 2021 is you can select a sales event and choose print, and it's going to bring up a PDF that you can choose to print out or save as a PDF of all the items that you've included in that sales event, what the regular price is, as well as the discount. Now, you can set a default discount, but you can also individually change discounts. So if you want to give different discounts for different items, you can do that as well. But then it'll also show you what the sale price is. And that's great because you can then send that off to your select customers that you choose, or print it so that you have a copy of it during your open house. Now, when I've added items to my sales event, after I've already archived my products that I don't have in stock and that I don't want to be included in searches, those items will also no longer be included in my product sales event. So it keeps things clean and organized. Now, the next area that we will be covering is the filter settings. If you go to the Edit menu, choose Settings, then Alerts and Colors, there's a new option in here that says Use Filter Slideouts, and you may have already noticed that with this webinar, or you may have already set it with your Boulevard. And the Filter Slideouts allow you to quickly access filters on the customer list, unit list, address list, and the product list as well. You'll notice that it'll be on the left-hand side, and you can choose to open it or collapse it, but now you'll have access to these filters right away. Now, speaking of filters, if you have found that you cannot find somebody on any of your contact lists, whether it's the customer, unit, or address list, we recommend that you click the Clear Filters button on whichever list you're working with, because you may have a filter set that you didn't realize. For example, you might have accidentally set that customer profile as inactive, and they would no longer then show up automatically in your customer list. If you didn't mean to mark them inactive, you would just open their profile and uncheck the inactive box and then save it. Now, going back to my list and working with the list, some of the filters here are great to quickly apply so that you can group your customers and save a grouping. And you can save a grouping using the list builder. So let's, for example, choose to not see the inactives. So I'm going to say no. And then maybe I want to just see those customers that I have invoiced from the past year. So I'm going to choose Between and change my date range, then click the X to apply it. And now I am only seeing those customers within that date range. If I want to save this list, I can then create it as a list builder, and you can pick and choose which customers you want to add, or you can click the checkbox column header to select them all. I'm going to uncheck the guest checkout. Then I'm going to click List Builder, and I can create a new list, and what this does is it saves these customers into a list builder. So I'm going to say my January 2019 to current and click OK. And then I can view them, and now I have these customers saved in a custom list. And I can choose to do different things with them. So for example, I can send an email, I can create a contact log entry for them, If I want to remove a customer from this list, I can either choose the Edit button to edit the list, or a quick way to remove contacts from this list that I've created is just right-click and say, Remove Name from List. So you can go ahead and adjust the list. Now, when you no longer want this list, you'll make sure that it's selected in the list view here and choose Delete. And what that does is that deletes this entire list. Now, it doesn't delete your contacts. It just deletes the list that you saved. Another great thing about the list builder or using the customer list or unit list, any of those lists, you'll notice that there are ways to create follow-up action items. And those follow-up action items allow you to put those contacts into your calendar so that you know when to follow up with them next. I'm going to go back to the customer list, and let's go ahead and just open a profile. And you can choose to create a single or multiple action item from the profile. Or if you are on the customer list itself, you can also make sure that you don't have them checked. So I clicked the column header checkbox to unselect them all, then right-click on them. You can also set an action item from here as well. And what that does is it brings the action item up for that specific customer or contact. And you can set a follow-up type. Boulevard has some predefined follow-up types, but you can also create your own. So you can customize it to put whatever you want as the follow-up type. So I'm going to go ahead and choose virtual party, and then you can click OK, and they will then be put into your calendar to follow up with them. If you want to have a quick view of those that you need to follow up with or that are coming up as a follow-up, you can choose to view them from your upcoming events. Now, if your upcoming events sidebar has been closed, you can access it again by choosing Calendar menu and Upcoming Events. And as I mentioned, you can also view it directly from the calendar. And all of the calendar information is under the Events group on the main toolbar. The other type of follow-up, instead of doing just a single, is setting multiple follow-ups. So that's setting more than one follow-up at a time. And that can be done from either the profile or from the calendar. And all I would do is choose action item from the profile, then multiple, and you can choose what intervals. Now we have some quick adds that are 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, and so forth. Or you can create your own type of multiple follow-ups. So maybe I want a 2-day and I want a 3-week and a 2-month. So I can decide what the intervals are based on the needs that I have. Now you can also, it will automatically come up with the follow-up interval here, or if you click the arrow in the follow-up field, you can choose one of those other follow-up types from the action item list. So if you want to change that, you can do that. Now when I click OK, those action items will be put into my calendar to follow up with them on their due date. Now the next area is, once I've set all these follow-ups and I'm starting to work with my calendar or view these follow-ups, I want to be able to record the information that I've done with these customers or consultants, and the great way of doing that would be through the contact log. And you can create a contact log entry either specifically from the customer list, unit list, or address list, and you can create one at a time if you select the customer and then click Log Entry and enter the information here, the date and the time. You can either put your initials if there are multiple people that make phone calls or texts or email or do different account information changes to profiles. You can have them put their initials, or you can customize this field and put that it was a call, or it was a mailed postcard, or any sort of custom information that you decide that you want to enter there. Then enter a short note here, and you can choose to either change their next contact date so it pushes them further into your calendar, and you can also add to the weekly accomplishment sheet the amount of time that you spent on this contact log entry. So maybe you talked to her for 15 minutes on the phone, and you can record that here, and it will put a line on your weekly accomplishment sheet to track your time spent. Now, this is a singular contact log entry, but you can also do multiple. So if I have more than one contact selected, when I hit my log entry button, you'll notice that it says multiple people. So you can go ahead and create a log entry for multiple people at the same time. Once I've done that, to access all of these contact log entries that I'm making as I'm making calls or sending out emails or texts or mailed postcards, I can then go into the contact log here on the main toolbar, or I can access it by going to the contacts menu and choose contact log. And what that's going to do is it's going to show me all my contact log entries that I have created. And you can choose the date range. You can choose whether or not to include email. Now, this include email is if you have Boulevard set to send out your group emails, if you've linked it with your online email, and you can view that information here. You can print this as a report, or if you're in your contact log, you can right-click on an entry and view the profile, which gives you quick access again to that customer's profile information and further utilize the profile. All of this information I know I've covered quickly and just given a brief overview of the different things that Boulevard can do to help you organize and connect and use the different features available in Boulevard. We actually have detailed information from our online support center on each of these topics, and in the enhanced webinar that we will be posting, we will also include even more information and step-by-step instructions to the different topics that's covered in this webinar. And again, you can access that by going to the Help menu and choosing Help, or from any web browser, you can click in the URL and type blvd.help, and it will launch our online support center as well.